Howdy, 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 and welcome to another episode of the Dirt Info podcast. This week, Carter and I discuss Carter's trip to the Nippy 50. We hail King Cade and recap some other results we are watching this weekend. Then we'll discuss what we'll be doing this weekend. And as always, we send you home with one for the road.
And if you could, like always, just please be sure to like, follow, subscribe, whatever the button says on whatever platform you're seeing this. And Josh, if you want to move on to our newer unnamed segment still, what shirt do you have on today? Racing shirt,
Okay.
obviously.
Yeah, yeah, um, yeah. I do want to give a tip of the cap to our buddy Ryan, who posted kind of a meme that has indicated we are just trying to justify a reason to buy more race shirts, and I'm not doing anything to dissuade that. I picked up this modified Mafia shirt this past weekend, um, so this one's new. And I grabbed it they kind of have been on my radar lately, and I think the colors are awesome, and I like that it has like a skeleton mafia don on the back, and so I thought it was a good addition to the collection. And plus, Sherry says I look fantabulous in this color, so I can't go wrong.
Did you
Anyway,
did you drive all the way to, was it Needmore to pick it up?
I did not see. I just had mine delivered. It cost me a little extra, but I ordered it, I think on Monday, and I had it by Friday. It worked perfect.
My shirt, I did drive to get this one. Shannon Vab shirt. Actually, I think I bought it like 10 minutes after Ryan posted the meme. I didn't even see the meme, but I went down to to get some food, and they had the shirt right next to the merch stand, like on the way to the concession stands. And I was walking to the barbecue truck, and I was just looking over at the shirts, and I was like, and then all of a sudden I just like kind of stopped, and I was like, all right, I guess I'll buy this on my way to get some barbecue.
That
But
makes sense. Bab and
and
barbecue. It works out.
exactly. And yeah, I like Shannon Vab. I just haven't gotten a shirt, so I figured I'd pick one up.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. You actually, so that was Friday that you picked up the shirt, but
Yep.
you went crazy and drove home and back for Saturday too, yeah?
Yeah, so Friday I think I mentioned last week that I was, with the weather looking iffy Saturday and great Friday, I was going to try to make it Friday, or for sure try to make it one day, whether it be Friday or Saturday. I ended up being both of those days I went, but yeah, I worked Friday, and I needed to be done by 2 to make it for hot laps, and I was done at 1:45, and then I hopped in my
Nailed
car,
it.
didn't even stop at home, just straight. I literally had like everything I needed already, like in case I didn't have time, and I did not have time, so I drove straight over to Iowa. Got there at like 6 o'clock. Hot laps were at 6:30. There was a decently long line when I got there, and then by the time I sat down, I saw a picture. It was much longer, like
Nice.
half an hour later. But yeah, and then I got there, watched the whole show, got my shirt, my barbecue, and then drove home. Not sure if I was like not. I was kind of like leaning on coming back. It was like a
Hmm.
50-50 kind of thing, but the weather still looked questionable.
Hmm.
So I drove home, and then I remember texting Ryan, who ended up coming with me Saturday. I was like, all right, be prepared to go Saturday, but like also like both of us should be checking their Facebook in the morning, because
Sounds good.
they also said moving the start time up might be a
Yeah.
possibility.
Yep.
And if they moved it up, I might be asleep still, because I got home at 3:30, 4 in the morning. So I
Oh.
so I was like, if they move it up to like say 3:30, we'd probably leave at like 10. I would not be I would not be awake at 10 for that. But thankfully they never moved the start time up. Then I called Ryan at like 11 o'clock, or no, it would have been like 10 a.m. I think, something like that. And I was like, you want to go? And then we checked the weather, and we're like, screw it. It's early in the year. The way the weather's been in Wisconsin, it probably will be a while
Yeah.
till we get any
Yeah.
racing here. It's like, let's take a risk. And it ended up working out. We made it there, saw the whole show. We drove there all the way in rain, pretty much. Drove back all the way in rain, but no
Oh.
rain at the track. And the racing was really good too, so it was
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah. I mean, so like the adventure alone like makes the show kind of more memorable, right? Like I think I did the math. It was I think you said about 4.5 each direction. So
Yep.
you did 18 hours of driving for racing, and the shows maybe were 5 hours each. So I think you still got a great deal on it,
Well,
but
and I
like,
did the math. I did the math. Like, if I were to get a hotel, how much cheaper would it have been? And it wouldn't have been because it's like 80 to 100-ish probably say for a
mhm.
room, unless I stay in like a Motel 6 or something, which I wasn't gonna do.
You weren't planning on that.
And it was pretty much it was a little less than like 2 tanks of gas to go there and back.
Hmm.
So like I really just one trip was like pretty much one hotel room. So
Yeah.
and I still would have had to drive there and back even if I stayed a night. So it kind of evened out. The hotel room was
Yeah.
the same price as me making a second trip. So
True. And you wouldn't have
just
been able to bring Ryan, so it would have
exactly,
totally not been worth it.
Wouldn't have been able to come along. So
Right.
I will say the drive there and back was a lot faster when you have someone to talk to.
Oh, I bet, right? Like it made it totally worth it. Someone just to chat. You could sort of you recap the race on the way home.
It's
You know,
pretty
you were
much.
talking
We
about
had
all the.
a 4 hour podcast on the way home,
Yeah,
basically.
I bet. Should have just planted a mic. But no, I mean, speaking of the racing, I didn't watch as much of it as you did. I caught mostly the features, but the racing looked like a banger. The track, I think we had mentioned this about Brownstown last weekend, but like that track doesn't seem like it can ever get wide enough. Right, it's just this little bull ring. They were dumping it out. I think Pierce almost gave it away on Friday,
Yep, on the
uh,
last lap.
in the last lap, in the last corner of the
This
last
basically the
lap.
same spot RTJ lost his chance to win pretty much on Saturday, like right in that same
Yeah.
exact spot. But
Yep.
yeah, the track is it's kind of like Brownstown. It's like super wide and like they're racing off the track. The Timmy
Yeah.
Current, the Dark Side Promotions guy who does, I think he like promoted it with Jeff Hoker or whatever. I don't, they
I think
work
so.
together
Yep.
on it. But he
Yep.
posted a picture and you could literally see like their right rear was hanging off the track coming out of four, like where they were running. Like that's how
Yeah.
high up they were going up there. So I could see how they drove off. You had like about a centimeter of either going off the track or flying around that corner. So
Yeah. You had to nail it just perfect. And when they did, the racing was so exciting. And then like you said, like when RTJ kind of just missed it with about 5 to go on Saturday, I was like, dang, it's gonna
yeah.
be so good. It was gonna be so good. So
I thought it was funny too on Saturday on the last lap when Pierce was coming into 3 and 4 about to cross the finish. He didn't enter that high line like he was doing the whole race. He kind of
mhm.
ran the middle. It was like I don't want to mess this up in the final corner like I almost did the night before.
Yeah. Yeah. If someone's gonna rail the top, so be it. I'm gonna play it a little bit safer. Uh, but yeah. No, so there was definitely you got your money's worth, right? Racing would have been worth it at any rate at this time of year, but
Yeah.
the show was good. Um, I didn't catch as much of the undercard, obviously. I know you're a Pierce. You stayed through the whole
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, so you got every race, every dollar worth of entertainment. But I did see someone you had picked back when we did the draft for the dome. Jeff Bone Larson picked up a win
Yeah, so
in the mod.
he races there. He's in I think he's from like northwestern Illinois, so like that's really not far. So I think that's one of his local tracks. So yeah, he's got
Yeah,
a lot of
he might
experience
have been
around
the
there.
track champ
I think
last
he
year
was
there.
actually,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. I think I remember doing the research when we did some of our picks. So yeah, for sure. And then coincidentally enough, another person we had talked about on this pod before, Drew Jansen won on
Saturday.
Saturday.
And he
Yeah.
dominated them. Actually, funny enough, Ryan thought there was a point in the race he didn't realize Drew Jansen was leading because how far
He did it
out
again.
front, yeah. And the battle for second was really, really good. So it reminded me of Ogilvy, but yeah,
He-
he checked out like he was gone. There was no one was catching him. And
yeah.
then on the stock cars, another guy who dominated all weekend was Dallin Murdy. He won full
Yeah.
stock car features with the new stock car body, which I was excited to see in person. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if you've seen any pictures of it.
I did earlier in the year. I don't know that I know quite enough about IMCA to be informed, but you have an opinion and we want to hear it. So,
I just don't like I like the everything from the car until you get to like the rear end. It's just like super short. Like it doesn't look I don't know. It reminds me of
uh,
like a sport compact kind of or like a the back end. It's just I don't like how short it is. Or there's a class called the super sedans in Australia, and that it reminds me of that, the back end of it specifically. I just don't like how it looks, but they they're fast clearly. So
Oh, I see it here. I get what you're saying. I
yeah, and
see
I
that.
can put up a
Yeah.
picture too.
Yeah, we should put up a picture, but I get it. It looks kind of like a Monte Carlo that I
It's
used
it's
to own.
it's
Like a newer, like a 2000s-ish Monte Carlo or
I don't know
something.
anything about cars, but I know it's based off like a real life car. I don't
Yeah,
know what it is because I know nothing about cars, but
I did. I know a little bit, but I don't know this shape. It just kind of looks like an old Monte Carlo that I used to
yeah,
own.
but they're
Oh,
fast.
I'd probably
I
have to
mean,
take it back end, but
Damon Murdy I took second one night, I believe, and he was in one. There was a good amount. I think there was six of them that were there, and they're completely new for this year. So there's a good amount of them, and I know there's a few more in my area that got them. So excited to
yeah.
see them. I mean, just don't love the look of them. I'll grow to them and won't even notice it probably in about 2 years anyways. So
Right. They'll all blend in eventually. So catch me up real quick because I just have a noob question. So they don't have to race this body, they just can?
yeah, it's just an option.
Okay.
They can
Okay.
run the ones you've seen like at Luxembourg and stuff. Those are still legal. It's
Yeah.
just another option that they can run
Okay.
if they want to.
And then this one's gonna probably win a bunch of races and then everyone will run it in 2 years. I get what you're
Probably, yeah.
saying. Yeah, yeah. I mean Murdy just swept the weekend, so in one. But yeah. All right. Well, I learned something today. I appreciate that actually. So
Oh, you mentioned
uh
how I stay for the whole thing. During the
yes.
sport mod feature Saturday, it was not many people left. It was easy to get in and out of there, but at that point, that was the last race of the night, and the first half had a good amount of cautions. And like every time there's a caution, there's a few more
You can
people, and
see
then
people. Yeah.
and then one guy rolled, and that took out a whole bunch of people, which not funny, but kind of funny how it happened. So last year, the only roll the whole weekend was a sport mod in the feature on Saturday night, and this year the exact same thing. A sport mod. The only roll all weekend was a sport mod
Mm.
on Saturday night in the feature. I just thought that was kind of interesting.
It wasn't the same guy, was it?
No, it was not.
Okay.
Last year the guy
Phew.
that rolled is the guy that races by me, and this year
Okay.
I wish I could remember his name, but this year was an
Mm,
Iowa guy I think that rolled.
I know. I know. So, well, it sounds like a good time was had. Not a ton of sleep, lots of
No,
driving,
not much sleep. I got a lot of
but
sleep Sunday though.
yeah, I can bet. I can bet. Well, we hadn't mentioned it, but that was actually a Mars sanctioned race, which I think kind of goes a little bit to just the credit of what the Nippy's building there. Is just everyone kind of knows it is the Nippy 50 and Jeff Hoker's involved and Timmy Current, and they're just, I don't know, they're doing a good job there. But anyway, I say it was a Mars event to say that the Mars actually runs again this weekend. I think Paducah on Friday
Yep,
for 10,000. So that's a pretty beefy race. And then Charleston Speedway on Saturday
for
um,
5.
for 5. Yep. And then the mods actually, so they're the Mars modified series. So they have a modified series too. Um, that kicks off same two places, obviously, but for 2K both nights. So, and that's on Flow. So there's mods on Flow.
There you go. That
There we
was
go.
that was a potential backup option for what we'll talk about later in the
Yeah.
episode. But
Yeah. Right on. So I didn't go racing. Um, but I did watch some racing. I said last week I was going to watch King of America. I most certainly did. Um, it was pretty good. I think we wrote about it so much over on DirtInfo and the Facebook page that I would just highly recommend any of our listeners go check some of that out. I'm not going to belabor the point here too much. Carter was obviously off racing somewhere cool, so he didn't catch much of this. So I
that'll
just
be
want to kind
that'll
of
be a theme over the next few months.
yeah, yeah. So like I just want to kind of go over some things I mentioned, and then you can throw questions at me or whatever as we go along. But so King of America was the first year at Lucas Oil Speedway, and I'd say it was a pretty good success. So I don't remember the exact car counts total. I think they crossed 200 at one point, maybe cumulative over the weekend. But anyway, highlights I think for the most part 72 mods on site. That's pretty banging. And all the big dogs kind of were up at the front. So Friday saw Cade Dillard win after unfortunately after a DQ of Dustin Sorensen. So he got tagged for Sorensen got tagged for deck height.
Oh,
So yeah, they're bringing some late model tech to the modified world, which I guess kind of makes sense. Like, I'll probably go on a slightly more of a tangent on this, but since we're talking about the tech shed and late models, like Sorensen and Cade Dillard both build their own chassis for late models. Sorensen when is in his Longhorn, Dillard's in the CDR. Um, so I'm pretty sure those guys are probably bringing a little late model tech to the mod world. And so I noticed this year they have a rule, and it is a deck height rule where, like, I don't know any of the technical stuff, so I apologize if I say wrong parts and stuff. But basically, the left, I think, bird cage or something in the suspension, like if it locks out and keeps it at attitude when they go into tech, like they're gonna get tagged for DQs. Like that has to go back to like ride height, and so that I think might have been something close to similar to what happened to Sorensen. But anyway, I just think it's crazy that they're like doing some more late model type stuff in the mod world. I also think it's badass that like mod or late model drivers are building mods and racing them. I think that's super cool. I'll touch on that more in a minute. But anyway, Friday, Jim Chisholm won. And there was no tech shenanigans there, but there was more controversy. He had mentioned in Victory Lane that he saw the big board, so they have this big screen at Lucas Oil, and he saw Reese Solander coming on the outside, and so he just boop put her up there and held him off.
Is the
So
big screen always there, or was it just for this race?
no, I think it's always there. I
Okay, I couldn't
believe.
remember if it was always there. I've seen a
Yeah.
bunch of races from there, but yeah, I cannot remember if it was always
Mhm.
there or not.
So I think they said on the Racing Dirt broadcast that it actually was bigger this year. So they had like
Oh,
made a bigger one. Yeah. So I think it was more prominent.
they should probably like do like Cedar Lake does and turn it off mid-race, maybe.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, like at least unless maybe like people in the pits can see it or something. Like at Cedar Lake,
Yeah.
obviously, if you're in the pits, you're behind it. You can't see it
Yeah.
anyways. And if
Yeah.
you're in the stands, you're not going to be
I mean,
watching the big screen versus the racing right in front of you.
yeah. I mean, the Cedar Lake one's hard to see either way. I
Yeah,
don't know if
it's
them turning it on.
that one's not as helpful there.
It feels less helpful, but I get your point. Apparently this one was quite helpful, and no, they left it on the whole feature. So, um, I don't know how I feel about that. Like on the one hand, it's there, whatever, use it. And there's other races where they do it, but you just kind of hate like watching the race. Solander was totally gonna blow by him if he hadn't spotted him. I mean, he was. I don't know how often he was looking at it, but from my view on the couch, like for about 2 or 3 laps, Solander was just pounding the top and catching him, and it looked like Chisholm was just kind of do driving the bottom, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh shit!" He just went up there. That's how it appeared on TV. I don't know how. That's just my interpretation of it. But anyway, moving on to Saturday, Cade Dillard won. That was a $20,000 victory. 60 lap race, and it went I think 2 cautions. The second one was a bit of a bummer because Tanner Mullins was checked out the first 2/3 of the race, gone just on his own planet, and then it sealed over under caution. Cade Dillard shot from third to the lead, and it was pretty much not in doubt. Jim Chisholm gave him chase, but never really was able to make it as close as he wanted. And I do want to give a little bit of a shout out to Bobby Williams. I can't say for sure it was his 5th race in a modified in an A mod, but it was his 5th race in this car, and he came home third in the big show.
Oh,
So yeah, and
I'm
he's like,
assuming third paid pretty decent if I had to guess too.
I would think so. I didn't dig deep, but I assume it was probably halfway decent. But yeah, our buddy Brad, who did a lot of the writing, I think he said he had never run a 40 or a 60 lap feature before this weekend, like in anything.
Did you run
And
a
he
50 then?
no,
Oh,
he'd never run anything longer than like maybe a 30 or something,
okay, I
right?
see. I thought you meant
Yeah,
like specifically 40 and 60.
no, no. He just never ran anything this long.
Yeah,
And in the 60 lapper, he came home third. So that's pretty awesome. He started up front, faded a little bit, and then just closed in the after that restart. That restart was pivotal to a lot of guys towards the end there. That one with 20 to go, a lot of things moved around there. Mullins went from first, ended up finishing 5th. So he just sunk. Yeah, he just sunk. It sealed and he sunk. It was a bummer. But I mean, that's for the most part kind of what happened there. Again, I don't want to belabor it too much. We mentioned last last week that XR did like a non-qualifiers race, I thought it was cool that this show did it too. King of America did it as well. 1500 this time, and Dustin Hodges won. So when they come 72 deep, I guess it's only fair you reward them a little bit, right? And then just to kind of touch on it, stock cars. So I'd mentioned they were doing the Ironman stock car series came back. They ended up pulling down 46 entries by Saturday, and it kept growing each day. I think as things rained out other places, a few guys were like, "Hey,
Rain
it's
outs
pretty,
and
yeah,
like not having to work or something like that. Like on a
yeah,
Thursday they couldn't make it.
yep, yep." And so I think hey, it may have caught everyone's attention that they pulled down as many cars as they did right away. Like, hey, that's a place to be. I don't know. I may pure guess, but anyway, more dudes showed up. Just recapping the winners: Derek Green won night one, Jeffrey Abbey won night two. Who he actually took second, I believe, to Cole Charneski in that Arrowhead race that we
I
talked
think,
about
yep, I
before.
believe you're
Yep.
right.
Yep. So he showed up. He went stock car racing at Lucas. Cole didn't, but he did, and he pulled off a win. And then Rodney Schweizer won on Saturday. And then just a quick mention, because I did say, Bobby Williams came from a B mod. He ran B mod, I think, primarily last year, but 64 B mods. Chris Jackson night one, John Sheets night two, and Chad Clancy night three. So anyway, just wanted to mention those guys. They came out in full force and made for a pretty cool event. Other than that, I alluded to it a little bit. It was cool to see a 60 lap feature just kind of go. It
Oh
was
yeah.
quick and easy, not a lot of carnage. It just it was a solid racing start to finish. It was a refreshing palate cleanser, I'll say that. Not that the other race wasn't good or highly entertaining. It was that. It was just this
Just
race.
shorter. This one was a lot
Yeah,
shorter.
a little shorter, a little short. Although, it was followed by like more tech shed drama. So like they ended up like with the winner on night one getting DQ'd, like night two, like the mood was a little more somber in victory lane. Everyone was just kind of like, these are the people who crossed the finish line. Everyone's like a little like I think Stormy Scott was like, I'm cautiously excited about this finish. I got to go see my buddy over in the tech shed. And then by Saturday, they turned it into high drama. So they ran the race and then they had the stock car feature afterwards. But before anyone came to victory lane, they all went over to the tech shed. And then as they're like running the stock car feature, they have the drone, the Racing Dirt has the drone up over, like giving dramatic tech shed doom shots. And then they rolled the winners out after the stock car features.
I guess it's better than having them do victory lane and then you
Yeah,
find out
yeah.
an hour later, oh, this guy actually didn't win.
Yeah, yeah. So like kudos to taking something that could have been a negative and like using it to add drama. Make the best of the hand you're dealt. They did. I just thought that was interesting. Anyway, I just want to leave it with this, and I'm not going to belabor it. But it struck me on Friday watching Sorensen and Cade Dillard throw sliders at like why I think I've always dug modifieds but never really said it out loud. And it's just like a lot of these dudes in the USMTS, I'm just going to speak to that because it's what I know. I'm sure it happens elsewhere. I'm just going to speak to what I know. But you've got Sorensen, who is a former champion coming back, building and racing occasionally. Cade Dillard dropped off Woo Tour, and we might see him a lot on tour as well. But then like Terry Phillips is in the late model Hall of Fame, and he manufactures the Bloodline chassis. Jason Hughes and now his son Trevor Hughes built Hughes chassis. And Jason raced for forever, and now Trevor's on tour.
Nick Hoffman.
Nick Hoffman, yeah, an elite for UMP, absolutely. Like Jim Chisholm doesn't build it, but he has like a whole speed or a shock program that he does, and he's been with Skyrocket forever. So like, even if it's not building, it's that. But anyway, the point is like it's a little bit of a throwback to like an era when guys built more of their own stuff. Like they're building their own stuff. They're not just racing and seeing who's the best driver. They're like literally going, who shits the best? Like, and there's something cool about that. Like you can get down with that. I got down with it. I was so pumped. I was just like, this is awesome. Like you can't you can't get this feeling anymore. And for being the old head of the two of us, I still didn't really I wasn't around during that era. So it's like my opportunity to enjoy that version of racing. So anyway,
Doesn't oh, I'm gonna forget his name. Mississippi Thunder. You bought his door panel. He runs like Mississippi
Brandon
Thunder.
Davis.
Doesn't he build his own, like his car
Yeah,
specifically? I
yeah,
don't know if he builds
yeah.
other ones, but he builds his, right?
He does build his
Yeah.
own. And like I don't know if he still does, but I remember way back when like he used to be the only dude who ran ethanol. And so like he had this gigantic fuel tank to run. And yeah, that totally and he just goes out and just whoops up on USMTS when they come to town, in his own built stuff. Exactly. So thank you for helping me make my point even more. Yeah, he does. And there's more of them. I didn't mention all of them. There's more. I have more of a
Yeah,
list, but
I thought of more too, but I don't want to go on a tangent of
yeah,
reading down names.
yeah. But for real, so it's just I dig it. It's cool. It adds a layer to the whole thing. It's not just Tanner Mullins and TP racing. It's like their stuff. It's what they built. It's what they're manufacturing and selling to customers and all of this. But they're going out and proving their shit's the best. I don't know. I like it. And moving on. I think we should move on. I'll mention that that USMTS does hopefully run this weekend at Boot Hill for a pair of 5K to wins, but weather I think is playing a factor. So
Do you know if they have factory stocks during that?
I don't, but
Oh,
probably.
I just know they get a whole bunch of them.
I would imagine so.
Like
Um,
every time I look at on my race pass, there's like 30 to 40 of them, like weekly shows. So I hope they have them. I won't watch it, but because I'll be busy. But I hope they got them anyways for you to
right
watch.
on. Right on. I mean, we'll talk about it later, but to be fair, I might not catch much of it, even if they do go. But anyway, I think that's the two big talkers, right? That's what we watched this past weekend. Run through a couple results real quick. Hunt the Front got one of two nights in at Why Not, and Dalton Cook won that 8,000 to
Did
win.
you see any video of that one?
I did.
Dalton, it was like five to go or something, and he was in like fifth or sixth, and then he
Hmm.
ended up winning. Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw people posting about it, and so I went back
Yeah.
on Dirt and watched the highlights. I was like, oh,
I'm
that's
pretty
pretty
sure it
good.
was a late restart, right?
Yeah, there was a late
Yep.
restart, and he got
Yep.
him and Jimmy Owens both kind of like out of nowhere just
Yep.
into the podium.
Yep, made a move. And then I think right after he got there, I think Jordan Joseph Joyner, I think even threw a slider on him too, and he like raced it back and then
I
went too. So it was
think so. Yeah,
yeah,
I
so it was
believe
a
so.
pretty cool finish. Yeah, it was a pretty cool finish for sure. It was a bummer. I love I said it last week. The House of Hook. I love it's a cool nickname, and it kind of shows out like the way they really can put some power down and make some moves there. So it's cool.
I do like real quick how we mentioned Tyler Erb last week was like watching the weather on going to the
Mhm.
Nippy or why not, and he ended up going to Mississippi and getting rained out, and the Nippy got the whole thing in.
I do like that, especially because if you remember, there was a video of him last year being like, "It's not my fault. My weather guys are better than
Yeah,
Lucas's." Or
when he
something.
dropped off Lucas and they're like, "So you off the tour?" He's like, "Well, it looks like I didn't miss a single race yet because they're rained out and I'm over here racing in Wisconsin right now."
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yep. So it's not my fault. My weather guy's better than this. Well, he missed this one. Anyway, so they go again this weekend for 8 and 12K at Talladega Short Track.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty cool racetrack. They've made a bunch of improvements over
Yeah,
the
added
years there.
a
So
wall in one and two and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, first time I saw it with the wall, I didn't even recognize it because I'm so used to watching like the Ice Bowl and stuff on Flow when it was on there with no wall around it. And then
Hmm.
they put a wall up.
Yeah, I think that was kind of wink, wink, nod, nod by some of the bigger series. Like,
Oh yeah, because
hey,
like the sprint cars and stuff would go there, so
yeah,
it wouldn't
yeah,
shock me.
yeah, yep, yep. So, well, staying south, the Schaefer Spring Nationals did get both of their shows in. Friday was at Buckshot, 7,553. Those are always
Yep.
fun numbers. Garrett Smith was your winner there, and then Saturday, East Alabama, $10,053. And Brendan Overton beat Tyler Erb. So Erb found racing though.
He did find a race,
He did
but
find a
wouldn't have to
race.
done as much driving if he just stayed in the Midwest.
Yeah, he did find a race. So I think Saturday as well, Northern All Stars ran. Both late models and modifieds. Um, Josh Rice won 10K. Mike
Marler
Marler was
second.
there.
Yep, I saw
Yeah,
he took second.
yeah. And then Adam Stricker won the modified 1500. So their season opener for the modifieds as well. And then Trent Young, who was another guy that was in part of our draft and stuff when we did the draft. So he was second. So,
He won at Paducah on Friday, the day
did
before.
he?
Yep, I
So
saw that. I
you
think there was only 6 mods, but I saw that on Facebook. So win's a
you got
win.
part a dub's a dub. You can only beat who shows up. You know what I mean?
If he wins this weekend, he's getting 2K with mods. So hey.
Yeah, he'll probably be there too. So for sure. Speaking of UMP mods, there was actually a pretty big paying show down south, the Modified Mafia. They were Southern Classic, I think it was called. But anyway, they're at Needmore Speedway, 7,500 to win, and I believe it was a pretty caution-filled affair, but a name we've talked about a bunch on this show, and someone I think everyone ought to know. But Cole Falloway won, you know, flag to flag, and I don't know if they ever got more than 5 green flag laps in a row. But my guy, he won it. He just got to win the race they race, I guess. And then Ryan Thomas was second. Todd Nieheiser third. Ty Norder fourth, and then Devin Dixon, another name we talked about
Oh yeah,
earlier in
he won.
January.
He won at Hendry
Bubba,
County, I think,
yeah,
early
yep,
early in the
Hendry
year.
County too. Yep, yeah. So we talked to him about him a bunch. So he came home fifth. So anyway, they had 28 cars there. I did see they did this like pole shuffle thing with
Oh,
mods.
was it like a 1v1 tournament kind of thing? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, I like spicing it up. That's kind of cool. I saw, I think maybe the Pit Reporters and maybe Modified Mafia's social media as well. Anyway, I saw a couple videos of them going, and it looked good. I think Falloway like threw a slider to win it on the last lap of the final pole shuffle to like win the pole. So it's
I
pretty cool.
know by me, 141, I don't know if they're doing it all this year, but in the past for for their 2-day shows on practice night, sometimes they'll have like if say it's the Clash of the Creek, they'll just do like a King of the Hill, which is like pretty much the same thing, except you get money at the end instead of the pole
Hmm.
of a feature. And
Okay.
I sometimes I've seen those and sometimes they can be really boring, but other times it's like, yeah, you're getting a guy throwing a slider or something uh for $500 or whatever the thing is for the but yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen those a few times. It's better than normal practice. So
Yeah. I mean, that's a good way to cap off a practice. And I don't know if the track's putting that up or if it's just guys putting it up,
you
but I
so
really,
it's been both. Sometimes I
okay.
remember a couple years ago the four cylinders had one at the very last race of the year at the end of the night. The drivers just all put up some money and they just did it. I
Hell
didn't even know what
yeah.
was going on and I was walking out thinking the races were over and I was like, oh, what do we have here? I was like, all right, I guess I'll stay and watch this.
Was it good? I mean, like,
It wasn't as
fair
good as
assessment.
like a mod one or so. You know, the
Okay.
sport compacts can't really throw
Yeah,
sliders as
there's
much.
only so much they can do. Yeah. Sorry for talking over, but yeah, I'm like there's only so much their slider is pushing up the track in
Yeah,
front of
just
me.
pushing up in front of them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So, uh, but yeah. Hey, I love that they wanted to go do it. Kudos to them. So
exactly, if they're
that's
putting up
pretty
the
cool.
money, so yeah, why not let them have some fun? Last race of the year, anyways. Who cares?
Right?
Hey,
For sure. For sure. Well, I think that actually covers all of the news and notes. Although, yeah. Anyway, that's all news and notes we got. So I think that means we transition to talk looking ahead a little bit. Um, it's becoming a bit of a theme that I'm not comfortable with, but I have to live with it. You're going racing and I'm not this week.
yeah. Yeah. This weekend I'm going to Iowa again. This time we got a hotel though. And we'll be
Mars.
going to the Frostbusters. Only we're not going Sunday, just Thursday through Saturday.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, Independence Thursday, Marshalltown Friday, and Boone Saturday, and they always get a ton of cars for that,
Yeah.
especially the Friday and Saturday show. Um, but I am looking forward to Independence just because it's a new track. So
I was
hopefully
wondering.
they're supposed to get some weather Tuesday night. Hopefully that dries up and they can race Thursday because it's probably the one I'm looking forward to the most, just because it's a new track and I want to see how it races and whatnot. So,
Yeah.
but
What do
yeah,
we know
we
about what do we know about it right now? Do you know its size? I mean, I assume you do, but
I'm pretty sure it's a quarter mile. The World of
okay.
All Late models went there last year, and that was I think I may have seen it like when I was younger on IMCA TV, but I know that's my most recent memory of it was watching it
Cool.
on for the World of Outlaws last year.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I'm excited to go there. Picked out some restaurants and stuff, so talk about that next
Ooh.
week. And then me and Ryan are going to stop, assuming all weather works out. We don't have to alternate plans or something. We plan on stopping at we're going to go down to the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame in Knoxville Friday during the day while we got time to kill. And I've been there in 2022, but Ryan's never been. And I think they kind of change it up a bit, like certain parts of it, like with a theme. So I think when I looked on their Facebook, it looks like the one right now is like Arizona kind of base
Okay.
drivers and stuff. But
Alright.
and hopefully there's an upstairs part. Hopefully they have the blinds open so Ryan can see because it's right next to Knoxville Raceway.
Right, right.
Because they have suites literally in the Hall of Fame for the track, but hopefully they have the windows open so Ryan can see
See the track.
Knoxville. I wish they had some kind of test going on or something. Then we just show up and you see David Gravel running test laps or something.
Man, I guess the question is, does that count as a race? Or does there have to be a
No,
second car?
it has to be an actual, yeah, it can't just be a practice. I won't count a practice as a race.
I like that method. We're not gonna start throwing too many bombs right now. We'll leave that one right there, but it made me wonder.
And then also at the Frostbusters, they have a point fund for I think all the classes but the
All of
sport
them.
compacts. 'Cause I know the sport compacts, they don't race at Boone, so I don't know if they have one. They
Okay,
race
that's
Thursday,
right.
Friday, Sunday. And I should mention Sunday's at Stewart, even though I won't be there. I want to
Yeah.
go there one day, but yeah, they're at Stewart
Yeah.
Sunday. Uh,
I think I actually did only write down mod stock cars, sport mods, and
hobbies.
hobby
Yeah, I
stocks.
don't think the
Yeah,
four cylinders have them, but I could be wrong. But
that might be right.
yeah, I am looking forward to that. Hopefully weather works out and there's a whole lot of race cars. Um, but yeah, it should be fun. And you get
Should
some
be.
more corn nuggets too.
Yeah, heck yeah. We have to, you'll have to report back if they hit the spot. They better after about a month of thinking about it. But yeah. Um, no, I did want to mention, so I think it's 1,000 each night for mods, 750 I think for stock cars, and I don't remember the two, maybe 500 the other two. But anyway, it's healthy, and then you had already mentioned the 1,000 per class points fund too. So I thought it was pretty cool. I when I was digging into it a little bit when he mentioned it, it's
500 for the sport mods and hobby stocks,
that's
by the way.
awesome. Okay, yep, cool. So anyway, I thought that seems like solid pay, standard solid pay for IMCA race cars, but it I think it adds up once you race 4 nights. Hopefully, someone sweeps it. They'll take home a bunch of money. But actually, that might be boring for you. You probably rather see
Yeah, I don't
something
want to see
different.
someone sweep all 4 nights. That would be great.
You got a snoozer now that in retrospect. Anyway, moving on. The World of Outlaws also raced this weekend. The late models they returned to Atomic, 12,000, 15,000 this weekend. They still roll a bajillion cars deep, and and Lucas is off, and I don't know. I suspect there'll be a lot of guys there. I do.
Yeah,
I
I
think we're
assume most of the heavy hitters will probably be
yeah.
there.
Assuming weather. I haven't looked at all, so I don't
Yeah,
know.
I haven't
But
looked either.
yeah, but assuming weather isn't a factor, I bet they'll run pretty deep. So um and then I'll have thoughts about that. I'm sure I'll try to catch a little bit. Honestly, this weekend it's Sherry's birthday. So I'm gonna be more focused on that probably than ton of racing.
You're
So
not celebrating at Cedar Lake Saturday?
I'm not. I tried when Ogilvy was potentially racing, and she wouldn't go for it because her birthday's technically not until Sunday. So
Oh, so
I was trying to work that magic, but she wasn't going for it.
you'll probably
Yeah,
be the only people at Cedar Lake Saturday,
yeah,
the way things are going anyways. So
yeah. That's true. Well, get this. So add insult to injury a little bit. So because her birthday falls on a Sunday, I have to throw a birthday party next Saturday. So that's 2 weekends. 2 weekends. Can you believe this?
Yeah, I would skip my own birthday party if it fell on top of a race. So
I I turned 40 at Ogilvy, like for the topless nationals. So I mean, come on, she could do it too. But no, I all kidding aside, I wouldn't. I'm quite happy to do this for her. You know, I do have to be real. I'm pretty fortunate. She is my racing buddy, and I get to go to a lot of cool things and do a lot of stupid things with her. And so, like you mentioned, all those drives are a lot better with a buddy. Well, I have a built-in buddy. Sherry is my built-in racing buddy. So I'm more than happy to sacrifice. I just want to get that on record so people know I'm not like actually pissed off about this. This is all voluntary, guys. I'm more than happy to do this for my girl. She's awesome. So anyway. So with that, Carter, I think it means it's time for
the one for the road, and I had I kind of have two because I was
okay.
struggling to find one. I thought of one as we were recording. The first one I want to mention is I just found it interesting. Over the weekend, I saw Marshalltown added a backstretch wall, and if anyone who's watched Marshalltown on Flow and stuff, before it was just a big pile of dirt back there that people would park their trucks on and watch. But I mean, guys would go off that backstretch and roll like crazy back there. So hopefully that won't happen anymore. And if they do, like a four-cylinder guy mentioned in the comments of the post, now he has to clear a wall when he rolls back there. Like, um, but another one I want to mention is just a shout out to Dylan Thornton, who was really impressive this past weekend at Makokata. He went like top five in qual. I think he went second. He went third quick Saturday, and then Friday. I don't remember. Maybe it was Friday. He went third. Either way, he was top five in his group both nights. And
Hmm.
then in the heat race, he was a caution came out, and then on the restart, he slipped out of the transfer. But then he came from I think 18th to like ninth on Friday, and then Saturday, he made the show through the heat race, and then there was that one caution where a bunch of guys piled up
Hmm.
into each other, and unfortunately, he was involved. But I
Yeah.
made a post on Twitter
Stinky.
just saying that Dylan Thornton is going to be very, very good in a late model, I
Mhm.
think. And I wish he'd run like Mars or something this year. Maybe he is, but I would like to see him. It'd be fun to watch him at like a Fairbury or something,
Yeah,
mixing it up. I think he'd have a good shot at Rookie of the Year with Mars.
I would think so. So, I've said this story before, so I'm not going to say it too much, but he owns a Dirt Info hat. He does. I met him at Ogilvy when this
At
was when
least
he's
owned
running.
it at one point. Who knows
Yeah,
if
yeah. Until confirmed otherwise, I'm sure it's got lost somewhere. No, it's somewhere in the back of his head. He was given one. Anyway, let's put it that way. But he's a cool dude. He's a cool dude in addition to being a really good race car driver. And I agree with you. I think he's gonna
Oh,
kick
actually,
ass.
he isn't running Mars because now I think about it, he said he's going Frostbustin this weekend. That's what he put on Facebook. So,
Look at you. If you are you going in the pits at all?
no, probably not.
All right, maybe
It's
I have
it's
to finance this.
it's I'm going to well, it's going to be cold, real cold at night. I ain't got time to stick around. So, I looked, it's like going to be in the 40s all three nights.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'm sure I'll catch up with him. I actually tried to catch him two different times to buy his shirt last year, and both times he left the place on the day I showed up. So, that's awesome. Anyway, continuing on. Um, so I agree with you though. I think he's going to be a very good late model driver. I really, really do. So, all right. So my turn for one for the road. Uh, and I also just thought of one too while you said you thought of one. So I'll have two, and I'll try to make them brief. The first one, I do want to mention. Where did it go? What did I do with it? Clay County Fair had the Spring Nationals, um, this past weekend, and I'm just bringing it up because that's where Tom Barry went. Chaz Baca won there, but Tom Barry went there, and I did notice the difference in numbers. And here's the thing. So I'm going to be careful about this. The rap is awesome as it is. However, I agree that the other font's better.
yeah, like the number's fine, but the other one's
Yeah,
just better.
it's just better.
If
So
he
like even
if he ran the number he had now, like if that was his number the whole time, like wouldn't even notice it. Like it wouldn't matter to me.
Mhm.
Like, oh, that's a terrible number. It's just when the one he went from that he had and then switched to this, I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah. Yeah, it's bigger. He's always run it bigger, but like you could just scale it down, just put it anyway. I digress. But yes, so I saw it. I wanted to follow up on that, and then the other thing is I mentioned Heartland Modified to her last week. I'm gonna do it again this week, and I think more broadly, just like USRA mods in general. Like we've talked a couple different times. I've talked a couple different times about how I think what they're trying to do with all these little regional series is build up like the class in general. And to the extent that they've been doing it for a little over a year, 2 years in the instance of arms, they got 72 modifieds at an event in March. Like I think it's working a little bit. A lot of those guys that were at Humboldt last weekend were here, and all of the national guys were here. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like it's bearing fruit a little bit, and it'll be something we can follow, because like if the fall jamboree is up to 90 100 cars like it used to be in the heyday, we can probably go, yeah, it's friggin' working. And so like I don't have to be like we're right now, but so far so good. It seems to be making sense. So I don't know, that was a lot of cars, and they ran for 3, 5, and 20, and so anyway, just some thoughts. But anyway, I think that's everything I got. You already did your one for us. So
Yeah, I don't think I got
yeah,
anything.
we're fresh out. That means we're done. Anyway, if you've made it this freaking far, please like and share or tell somebody or do something. You're a trooper, man. We let us know you made it. And if anyone's got a name for that set, the what you wearing or whatever, I don't know, something for the shirt segment, let us know. Otherwise, we'll just keep.
It may just be remained unnamed
Yeah.
for years.
Yeah. If anyone wants to sponsor it, like, hey. Anyway, we're gonna end there. Thanks y'all for watching. If you're here, we appreciate it, and we'll see you next week.